Yo, what is up, guys? This is Troy D from the Troy D 24/7 Mall channel, your source for on point and no hype reviews. We are back again, everybody. We're back with another fragrance review right here, guys, on my final day off. Unfortunately, I am headed back to work tonight, but before I do all that, I'm going to talk about a fragrance that I'm sure if you saw the thumbnail, you guys are highly interested in or highly curious about this fragrance, because this is, first off, a limited edition expensive fragrance that is an oud flanker. Yes, an oud flanker of one of the most popular perfumes of this house I'm about to talk about. So if you are ready for this full no hype breakdown on this very enigmatic fragrance, let's get at it. Now, before I continue, please do not forget to like and subscribe, guys, okay? Liking, subscribing, and watching the ads is a great big deal to this channel, guys. Liking, subscribing, watching the ads, and going through them, watching all my videos really does help the channel procure a lot of these samples that I get. And because these are niche perfumes, none of these samples are cheap, and I do buy in bulk. Whenever there's like a bunch of releases, I buy like 7 samples and I go through them. So please continue all your support, guys. It does help the channel a lot. I appreciate you guys. And the fragrance that I will be talking about today is none other than, oh my God, I'm going to say this one time. Okay, this is from the house of Les Indomedables. This is none other than Vanille Havane, Coeur de Oud. All right, Vanille Havane, Coeur de Oud from Les Indomedables. All right. I'm so sorry. This is such a tongue twister. When I saw the name of the house, I was like, oh my God, do I really have to say this? And I've seen other reviewers say it a different way, so I really don't know who's right. I tried my best, okay? But basically, this is my first foray into the house, guys, okay? Les Indomedables, basically it means timeless, all right? So I guess the whole theme of the house is making timeless perfumes. And Le Coeur de Oud basically means the heart of oud. And Vanille Havane is actually one of their most popular fragrances that, of course, if you're thinking about Havane, you're thinking about Havana, Cuba, aka Cuban cigars. And then you have vanilla, right? Vanille Havane. But this one right here is apparently an oud flanker called Le Coeur de Oud, with the heart of oud as kind of like the main concept of this fragrance, guys. Now, this fragrance, as you know, all oud fragrances, I cannot just spray it whenever I want here in the house. I gotta time it. I gotta make sure nobody's here. I gotta make sure my Lysol is ready and my wife is nowhere near, because they do not want me to spray any oud fragrances while they are around, okay? They are repulsed by oud. And as you guys know, I've been doing oud fragrances back to back. I did Oud Stallion. There's a reason why I haven't done Oud Cadenza. I did Oud Ispahan. So a lot of those were really powerful ouds. And yes, I did get kicked out of the house to do my review outside. So this one right here, when I got this from Scent Rush, and by the way, thank you, Joey from Scent Rush, for sending this over. When I got this right here, I was a bit hesitant about spraying this around and testing it. But actually, after, you know, slowly spraying it and trying little sprays of this fragrance, I got to know this. And I was just like, wow, okay, it's not as crazy or as bad as I thought. I was thinking worst case scenario. So anyways, interesting thing about this is that there's only 500 bottles made. I don't know if that's a gimmick or if that's really, you know, really rare, but apparently they did some oud extract and some vanilla extract. And on this perfume, they're pretty cagey about the notes. The perfumer basically just describes what you'll go through, but there's really no notes listed other than the oud and vanilla that you are going to be aware of. But other than that, can't find it anywhere. So let's break this down. I'm going to tell you guys what exactly I got to smell on this fragrance, the notes that are not told to you guys by the company. And of course, I'll give you guys, you know, the exact scent development of this fragrance. Is this something that you should hide from your wife? Let's go spray this thing right now, guys, and find out. Okay, guys, now let's talk about this fragrance right here, the extremely limited 500 bottles only available. Les Indomedables Vanille Havane, Le Coeur de Oud. And dang, okay, the intro of this is quite nice, all right? And like I said, when I first sprayed this, I was like, oh, it's not what I thought. It wasn't the worst case scenario. Again, unlike Oud Stallion, Oud Cadenza, where the oud actually pierces up and it's really slightly animalic, right? And my wife doesn't like that. Anyways, this one right here, guys, actually, the oud's not even here in the beginning. All right, so right here in the opening, the notes that I smell are, number one is some dry, dusty cacao. Okay, sweet, dry, dusty cacao. I can smell cypriol oil. I can smell rum. I can smell some dried fruits. And I can smell some tobacco. All right, so that is what I smell in the beginning stages of this fragrance. And if you look at all of these notes, these are kind of like your usual suspects of fall, winter, ultra masculine types of perfumes, right? Because you have rum, you have the dried fruits, which just adds a little bit of that dry fruitiness right there, but it's really boozy, aromatic rum. And then you have, of course, the dry cacao, that dusty dry cacao. And of course, you have the tobacco. Now, the big modifier here, of course, is going to be your cypriol oil. And everyone knows that cypriol oil, I've said this before, is to me something that people use to kind of like replace oud as something that is not as offensive as oud, but it gives you that earthy sensation, comforting earthy sensation that you are wearing oud, although it is not oud. And that's why when I sprayed this, actually, my wife had no reaction. She wasn't like adversely, you know, impacted by this fragrance, okay? And one of the reasons is because even the cypriol is actually nicely blended here, kind of just giving a slight modifier to make you think you're wearing like an oud type of flanker. But at the end of the day, cacao will be strong here, okay? You got some dry, dusty, chocolatey cacao. You're gonna get your rum, you're gonna get your tobacco, and those are still going to be the kings of the hill. All right, so don't think for 1 minute that this is going to be a scary oud fragrance, because at the end of the day, the usual suspects, the mobsters, are going to win, which is going to be those notes that I just talked about, okay? And of course, this is all wonderful stuff, all right? We've smelled these notes, well, redundantly in other perfumes, whether it's your Kilians or your Tom Fords. Those are the ones that really pop on top of my head right now. But nevertheless, put together, it does smell incredible. This opening right here is really going to make you feel like a very masculine man, you know? And not only that, but because you have these, you know, tobacco and rum like notes included here, and it kind of sets up this, you know, cigar or whiskey lounge type setting. You know, something Kilian's actually pretty good at doing, but it definitely sets up something like that. It sets up like a mobster movie, kind of like for the brooding types or the silent types, but are actually the dangerous ones, right? In them suits, in the whiskey lounge, in the cigar lounge. So I would say that if you are looking for something that will really reinforce such a masculine character, identity, or fashion, or, you know, you want it to smell that way, I would say that this is definitely, again, one of those big ones that will help, because, again, all these notes are well known as fall, winter, very ultra masculine notes with rarely any balancers, you know, to really, you know, turn it anywhere else. I mean, really, there's some dried fruits that maybe add a little bit of sweetness there. And then again, you have cypriol oil that will give you the sensation that it is an oud modifier. But again, it's just cypriol. Also, do not expect any compliments in this, because there's not a lot of balancers that will probably hit the mainstream crowd. 100%, guys, this is about your own character, your own identity, all right? And this is a mood setter for the wearer. And when we talk about sillage and projection, the initial part of this fragrance actually, I would say, is almost room filling. But a lot of the notes included here have draw-in properties, such as the tobacco, the rum, and such, the dried fruits. These are all kind of like draw-in. It magnetizes everything to you. And you will not get compliments, like I said, but it will complement your look, your identity, your machismo, that type of character, or maybe you're like a mobster, you know, and it will actually, I don't know, to me, smells intimidating. All right, smells intimidating, smells ultra masculine. That's what it will do. Okay, so despite having that initial strong sillage and projection, eventually things will settle in and it will be a literal draw-in scent. Now, another obvious fact about this fragrance is that it's thick, all right? Right from the get-go, it's a salvo of thick notes, guys. Tobacco, cacao, rum, and all of this, plus the cypriol, guys, that really thick cypriol, I think is also designed to make you feel comfortable and cozy in the cold weather. And that's one of the big reasons why I'm even reviewing this, is because October to me went really, really fast, and hopefully November doesn't, because that's my vacation. But I do know that outside of California, there's a lot of places right now where it's actually getting pretty damn cold. And when we go down the line, November, December, some places will be extremely cold. And I feel like this is definitely a thick type of cozy perfume that is for the cold weather. All right, you can really tell that it's for the cold weather. Yes, you can go in a cigar lounge and, you know, bring this fragrance with you, bring the scent with you. But just in case it's snowing outside and you got to roll out, you're going to have this fragrance literally shield you from the cold with the type of notes that it has. Again, dark, brooding, and heavy. Now, one thing I will tell you about this set of notes that I just mentioned to you is that these set of notes actually will last you up to 3 hours of wearing this fragrance. So it's undeniable that these set of notes in the beginning will really set the character and the tone of this fragrance right here. And again, if you didn't hear me, that's your cacao, that's your cypriol, that's your tobacco, that's your dried fruits, that's your rum. Boozy, masculine, tobacco, cacao, and of course, earthy, woody, cypriol, comforting right in the beginning of this fragrance. Again, up to 3 hours, guys. And of course, while you're wearing that, you're definitely experiencing different sensations. You're smelling the booziness of the rum, that gradient, that sensual boozy rum. You're also smelling some sweet dried fruits, like I said, but of course you got the tobacco, you got the cacao, you got the cypriol as the heavy hitters of this intro. And again, this lasts up to 3 hours into this fragrance. Now, 3 hours into this fragrance, what are the changes that happens while you are wearing Vanille Havane Liqueur de Oud? Okay, so right here in, I would say, the mid is when you get yet another oud modifier, guys, and that is castoreum. All right, and again, can't mistake it, can't miss it. Castoreum is basically an animalic, musky smell, like kind of like dry, chalky, and it's just hard to not smell that, okay? And it goes well with tobacco, which is still kind of gonna be there. Tobacco will still be there. You'll have castoreum. You'll have some jasmine balancer right here, which is really light, and then you'll have tonka bean. I got to smell tonka bean here as well, as kind of like the transition after that tobacco. Now, let me tell you guys that this part right here really reminded me of Tom Ford Tobacco Oud Intense, all right, which I reviewed a very long time ago, that has a very distinct tobacco castoreum mix with almost the same elements, some booziness, some leather, some woodiness, and that is precisely what I got here on this, you can say, late mid of Vanille Havane Liqueur de Oud, all right? Because the castoreum is, again, yes, it's animalic, it's kind of musky, but it's still not the oud, guys, okay? And it is another modifier, again, out there to make you think that you are smelling something very oudy, but again, it's still inoffensive because it's castoreum. And it is mixed very well with the tobacco, guys, all right? And you have a dark, woody patchouli that comes in here, guys. And again, it continues that, you can say, dark concept or dark vibe, whiskey bar at like 11 p.m. you know, type of vibe with the mobsters. And, you know, like I said, this smells almost exactly like Tobacco Oud Intense, or at least a part of that fragrance. If you bottled this part into a Tom Ford, I would not question it, okay? Because it definitely gave me Tom Ford vibes, dark, woody, slightly animalic castoreum tobacco. So just letting y'all be aware of that if you've never smelled Tobacco Oud Intense by Tom Ford. Now this stage goes up for another 3 hours, okay? So it doesn't immediately go away. And like I said, I felt like this was like a hybridized like add-on. It's like they took a piece of a very good Tom Ford Oud Intense, and they slapped it on here for another 3 hours. So you will get a nice coverage of that part as well. Now, on the late dry down, okay, we're talking about, 6 hours into the fragrance, 7 hours. One of the things I was saying to myself was, where the heck is the oud, man? And, again, from the first part to the mid, you're getting what I would call like a oud modifier, like kind of like an oud-like scent to make you think that. But as you guys know, when it comes to the advertising of this fragrance, I mean, of course, they were cagey about the actual notes, but what they were highlighting was this sort of, expensive oud extract that they got. But actually, I wasn't able to smell it at all. I mean, on these first parts of, this fragrance, because a lot of the very familiar notes here come in really heavy doses. So I got to smell that a lot more. So one of my questions 6 to 7 hours into the fragrance was like, where the heck's the, the oud? Where's the oud? And the oud finally popped out a bit on the 7th hour mark, okay? And the oud right here is going to be Cambodian oud, all right? And Cambodian oud is a slightly sweet and earthy oud. Thing is, though, guys, is that this Cambodian oud is well blended with other things, such as this brown leather. There's like a leather, kind of like animal hide leather, not a black leather, that goes with this oud. And then on top of that, it also came with resins, like ambery resins also came with this oud. So was it really the type of oud experience I was expecting, where it would pop out and dominate and, it would be the spotlight of the whole fragrance? Absolutely not. In the late dry down of this fragrance, this Cambodian oud, which is earthy and sweet, is also mixed in with leathery facets and sweet resinous facets. And let's not forget the vanilla. So the vanilla actually also pops out in the late dry down. So it's not like a vanilla, centric scent either. It's neither. It's not a vanilla centric scent. It's not an oud centric scent. Vanilla pops out in the end as well, really to lend the creaminess and sweetness into the resins, into the leather, into that Cambodian oud. And, put together, it really smelled like a nice accord all together. So it's not really, to me, like notes that have different, like, characteristics that don't blend well together. This is well blended with ambery resins, with leather, with Cambodian oud, slight Cambodian oud, and vanilla on the late dry down of this fragrance. Okay, so what do I think of this fragrance right here? Les Indomedables. I'm getting comfortable saying it. Les Indomedables Vanille Havane Le Coeur de Oud. All right. First and foremost, I'm going to say this. A lot of the stuff here is redundant. If you own a lot of Tom Fords, a lot of dark, masculine, woody, tobacco Tom Fords, plus even Killians, if you're in that, range and you have a lot of those, please test this first. I'm going to say that because you might find a lot of redundancy here. Now, say you don't own any of that, and say that you don't own a fragrance that absolutely creates a dark, masculine, classy, brooding character, maybe even mature, okay? This is definitely, I would say, one of those fragrances that I'm confident to say could be one of those standalone fragrances that could be that one, just that one in your collection that does this, okay? And, you don't have to add other Tom Fords, which at this point, you guys know a lot of the Tom Fords are pretty redundant. They just keep repeating the same formula with just slight modifiers. But this one right here is an ultra masculine type of perfume that has all the notes that you need, from tobacco to cypriol to leather to resins to rum. I mean, all of these are well-known aspects of really dark masculine perfumes, and this is definitely, I mean, without a doubt, one of those fragrances that does that. Don't expect compliments, but expect a congruency of character if you are a man's man. If you are the rock to lean on, by your friends or your family or your significant other. This will definitely add more masculinity in those wintry nights. And finally, let's talk about total performance of this fragrance. This fragrance, guys, lasted over 12 hours, but it wasn't just about the longevity of this fragrance, guys. It's about the thickness, like I said, that I feel will come in handy during the winter season or even the late fall season. Anytime that it gets pretty damn cold outside, this will definitely, the thick layers of these notes and heavy notes will come in handy when it gets really, really cold outside, guys. Okay, and again, very long lasting, and of course a slightly nuclear start. Okay, guys, now let's talk about the price. Is this really that rare? No, you can still purchase a full bottle. Right now, I'm looking at Lucky Scent right here, $420 for a bottle, still available, not sold out, guys. I honestly believe that this is just kind of like a limited edition type of gimmick. I mean, really, I really feel like, again, or unless maybe the type of ingredients that they're getting right now is maybe the same thing that Tom Ford is getting, and it's getting expensive, it's getting very costly to make something like this with all of those notes inside. That's possible too, that they can really only risk 500 bottles and expect that they sell out. Okay, that's the only thing I can really think of. But definitely, since Tom Ford's go for a similar price, I would say that they are toe-to-toe. Okay, and if you're used to Tom Ford pricing, then you wouldn't have any problem looking at this fragrance for $420. Problem is, it's 50 ml, you know, which is not a lot. However, you know, this is pretty potent, and I don't really see myself, if I ever owned something like this, I don't see myself wearing this all the time. Okay, again, this is a mood setting, character building type of perfume, which is, it's not all the time that you will be using it, and it's also for cold weather, nighttime, you know, type of engagements. And of course, it is not compliment friendly. It'll actually probably intimidate the next person after you. So it's not really an everyday wear. So it's possible that that 50 ml can be stretched for quite a while, guys. Now, with that being said, I really think you should try this first, okay? And especially if you're already collecting a lot of very masculine perfumes. Tom Ford's, like I said, Kilian's, like I said, hit up Joey at Scent Rush so you can, you know, see how much a decant is in his website, and you can buy something cheap like a 5 ml or a 10 ml and then use it for special occasions where, again, you feel like you want to be extra masculine like a mobster or something. You know, you can get your 10 ml and work it. But again, I don't know about $420 for 50 ml. That's just not, I don't know, that's a little bit too few for me for something really expensive like a car payment, like a $400 car payment. So make sure you try this first. Again, hit up Joey at Scent Rush. And if you like it, I mean, again, I wouldn't be surprised if you thought that this was full bottle worthy. If it's a standalone dark masculine fragrance for the winter, not a problem. I definitely agree with y'all, but try this first. And that is it. That is my no hype review on this fragrance right here, the ultra limited Les Indomedables Vanille Havane Le Coeur de Oud. Right? Let me know in the comments below what y'all think of this fragrance. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this breakdown. I mean, it's kind of hard when you have these, you know, fragrance houses that are pretty cagey about the notes and they don't want to tell you, but you know, eventually if you know your notes and you've been, you know, trying fragrances for a minute, you can really smell some of these notes pop out. So I'm really glad that I'm able to share this with you and give you guys a full no hype breakdown on this oud flanker of Vanille Havane. Now, will I review the original? Of course, I'm getting that ready. I'm getting Jared Miller to send me the original Vanille Havane, so I will test that as well, and maybe I'll, you know, kind of like tell you guys which one I prefer, you know, between the two. All right, so again, let me know in the comments below what y'all think of this fragrance and even the original. And again, please do not forget to like and subscribe. Please continue to support the channel so you'll keep getting these no hype videos on these very expensive niche perfumes. Again, thank you, Joey from Scent Rush. I'll see you guys on the next video. God bless. Take care. Peace.